Parenting is improv with tiny roommates who never pay rent. You're fed, caffeinated, and somehow still losing ground. And then, magic. A harmless fail so gloriously dumb, it becomes family legend. No shame here, only applause. This is 101 Dumbest Parenting Fails in the US. Glitter, marker tattoos, weaponized bubble bath. Ready? Stay with me and laugh with the rest of us. 1. A dad in Oregon, armed with a pair of clippers and a 5-minute YouTube tutorial, decided to give his son a cool fade. He confidently started but set the guard way too low, carving a pristine, gleaming landing strip of bare scalp right down the middle. Instead of a fade, he created a reverse mohawk. The best part? The kid thought it was the coolest haircut he'd ever seen and refused to let his dad fix it. 2. In a beautiful moment of suburban democracy, a mom let her 6-year-old name the family's new golden retriever. The little girl's choice? Sir Farts a Lot. The mom now has the joy of shouting the name of a gassy medieval knight across a park full of perfectly named Labradors. 3. At a Kentucky bake sale, one tray of brownies drew a suspicious amount of attention. A dad had let his kids help decorate. Nestled among the sprinkles and chocolate chips were bright orange goldfish crackers and several Lego heads. The handwritten label simply read, "Anarchy Brownies. Consume at your own risk." 4. A mom in Wisconsin, running on 3 hours of sleep, mistakenly packed a can of her husband's energy drink in her daughter's preschool lunchbox, thinking it was a new organic soda. This prompted a very gentle call from the director, asking if she was aware of the new spicy water trend among 5-year-olds. 5. For a history project in Texas, a father built a magnificent 6-foot-tall Trojan horse in the living room. It was a structural masterpiece. It was also too massive to fit through any door or window. The family was forced to eat dinner next to a giant monument of military deception for the rest of the semester. 6. It's Dress Like a Book Character Day. A mom, proud of her cleverness, decides to dress her son as the Cat in the Hat. But she wildly misinterprets the title. She sends him to school dressed as the family's actual literal pet cat, wearing a tiny fedora. He spent the day refusing to speak, only meowing sullenly at his teacher. 7. Ever tried to teach your kid about money and had it backfire? A couple in Colorado gave their son candy bars to sell for a profit. He returned completely sold out, having offloaded the entire inventory to his grandma, who paid him with a single legally questionable IOU for unlimited future cookies. 8. A New Jersey dad thought he'd achieved parenting nirvana by placing his twin toddlers in a large, empty, inflatable pool in the den to contain them. He came back from the kitchen to find they had discovered a permanent marker and given each other matching full-body tattoos. 9. To make bath time more exciting, a mom from Washington dumped an entire jar of those little foam capsule animal toys into the tub at once. This did not create a cute animal party. It created a single, monstrous, multicolored blob that absorbed all the water and clogged the drain. The plumber's only question was, "Ma'am, what kind of creature did you try to flush?" 10. A daughter's request for fairy princess pink paint goes horribly wrong for her colorblind dad in Illinois. He confidently grabs the can next to it, a violently neon shade called Rave Explosion. The room now glows at night, and the neighbors call it Team Rave Pink. 11. During the morning school run chaos, a dad in Ohio, tired of writing boring notes, decided to draw a cool dragon on his son's lunch bag. He was immensely proud. He received a text from his wife hours later with a photo. He had accidentally drawn the masterpiece on her very important case file. 12. A mom, trying to set a healthy boundary with screen time, tells her son he can watch just one more YouTube video. She returns an hour later to find him still watching. His defense? He found a 7-hour video of a crackling fireplace, and technically, he was still on his one video. He had weaponized her own rule against her. 13. A father in Georgia decides it's time for the talk. Trying to be clever, he uses a confusing analogy about their 2 pet hamsters. His son listens intently, absorbs the new information, and then asks with genuine curiosity, "So, do I have to buy a tiny wheel to get a baby brother?" 14. At a school science fair, a dad helps his daughter with a project on plant growth. To guarantee success, he secretly swaps her slow-growing bean plant the night before the fair with a much healthier, more impressive plant from a garden store. He felt like a genius until the judges asked his daughter to explain the detailed growth chart in her notebook, which in no way matched the plant in front of them. 15. The Tooth Fairy forgot to visit one night in Minnesota. Thinking fast, the dad slipped a $5 bill under the pillow in the morning, along with a tiny scribbled apology note blaming heavy ferry traffic. His daughter found the note, recognized his handwriting immediately, and declared him a very suspicious elf. 16. A dad in Florida, trying to make a road trip more entertaining, changes his GPS navigation voice to Australian Outback Adventurer. He forgets to change it back. During the school drop-off line the next morning, as his daughter gets out, the GPS loudly announces to a silent street of parents, "You've reached your destination, you little wombat. Now, watch out for drop bears." 17. A mom in California set up a birdhouse painting station in the yard for a fun weekend activity. She left her son alone for 5 minutes. When she returned, the birdhouse was untouched. But the family's completely white, very fluffy cat was now a modern art piece with vibrant, non-toxic rainbow stripes. 18. Spirit Week hits a Florida high school. To celebrate Decades Day, a mom insists her son wear her authentic, perfectly preserved prom dress from the 1980s. He refused. So she wore it herself to the parent-teacher conference that afternoon, complete with massive hair and blue eyeshadow. 19. The annual family Christmas photo. A dad ordered matching sweaters for everyone online. They all said Merry Christmas in a festive font. Or so he thought. After mailing 200 cards, his cousin called to ask why their sweaters proudly proclaimed Merry Chrysler. 20. A mom, rushing in the morning, uses voice-to-text to send a message to her son's teacher. Leo won't be in today. He has a terrible case of the runs. The autocorrect, however, sends, Leo won't be in today. He has a terrible case of the nuns. This prompted a very concerned phone call from the school chaplain. 21. In a classic baking blunder, a mom accidentally used salt instead of sugar in a birthday cake. Not wanting to admit her mistake, she served it anyway. After one bite, her 8-year-old son put his fork down, looked her dead in the eye and said, "This tastes like the ocean is angry at me." 22. A father wanting to teach his kids about democracy lets them vote on what's for dinner. He lists 3 healthy options. The kids, however, form a political party, write in a 4th option on the ballot, and unanimously vote for a dinner consisting entirely of whipped cream. The dad was so impressed by their grasp of politics, he actually allowed it. 23. On a long car ride, the suspicious silence from the back seat prompted a check. The parents expected sleep. Instead, they found their toddler had meticulously peeled a banana and was now painting a beautiful sticky brown mural across the inside of the car window. 24. Attempting to teach a lesson about lying, a mom told her son the classic Pinocchio story. The boy was horrified. For the next week, every time he spoke, he would hold a ruler up to his nose, just to make sure everything was staying regulation size. 25. To save time, a dad decides to cook a week's worth of spaghetti in one enormous pot. The sheer volume of pasta absorbs all the water and expands into a single, massive, immovable pasta blob. They have to carve it out of the pot like a cake. For the rest of the week, they eat spaghetti slices. 26. A dad in Utah built an elaborate multi-level maze for the new family hamster. He was incredibly proud of his engineering. The hamster took one look at the maze, completely ignored it, and proceeded to chew a brand new escape hole through the wall of its cage. 27. A 6-year-old's princess-themed birthday party took a strange turn. The mom had hired a character performer, but there was a mix-up. Instead of Cinderella, a man dressed as a very serious, very historically accurate Edgar Allan Poe showed up, ready to perform a dramatic reading of The Raven. 28. A mother, wanting to teach her son about budgeting, gives him $5 for the school book fair and says, "You can only buy one book, so choose wisely." He returns home, beaming with pride, holding not a book, but a giant, sparkly, unicorn-shaped eraser. He explains with perfect logic. It erases mistakes forever, Mom. This is a better investment. 29. Hoping to get her son interested in gardening, a mom gave him a packet of mystery seeds. Weeks later, their backyard wasn't filled with flowers, but with a thriving, fragrant forest of catnip. Their home is now the official 5-star resort for every feline in a 3-block radius. 30. Using his phone's voice to text, a dad sent a message to his wife about their son's soccer game. "He made a great goal," was transcribed as, "He made a gray goat." This led to a very confusing 15-minute conversation about their sudden acquisition of a farm animal. 31. In a moment of extreme confidence, a mom in Colorado lets her 5-year-old help with her makeup for a fancy dinner. She expects a little crooked lipstick. She gets one giant blue eyeshadow unibrow and 2 mismatched glittery red cheeks. Her husband just looks at her and asks if her new clown career is going well. 32. Saturday morning. A dad in Illinois tries to sneak in a quick nap on the couch. He wakes up an hour later to find his daughters have painstakingly covered his entire body, from head to toe, in hundreds of colorful unicorn and dinosaur stickers. He is no longer a father. He is a mythological art installation. 33. A family in Arizona adopts a parrot, hoping it'll learn to say hello or Polly wants a cracker. After a week of listening to the dad work from home, the parrot's first and only phrase becomes a perfectly mimicked, deeply stressed sigh, followed by the words, "Okay, let's circle back on that." 34. A father in Pennsylvania decides to be the fun dad and builds a slip and slide in the backyard using a giant plastic tarp and dish soap. He forgets, however, that the tarp is laid directly over a small, hidden anthill. It's less of a slip and slide and more of a get lightly attacked by angry insects slide. 35. A dad, attempting to make cleaning fun, creates the Chore Olympics, complete with events like the sock put and the dusting dash. He even makes a podium out of laundry baskets. This backfires when his kids become so hyper-competitively focused on winning that they end up making an even bigger mess, including a trophy spill of an entire jug of orange juice. 36. A father teaches his son a magic trick to impress his friends. The trick is making a cookie disappear. The dad's method involves placing the cookie in his hand, saying some magic words, and then quickly eating it when the son isn't looking. The son now genuinely believes his dad possesses world-class magical abilities fueled by Oreos. 37. A mother in Louisiana trying to explain where babies come from uses the metaphor of planting a seed and watching it grow. Her daughter later gets in trouble for burying her Ken doll in the garden, telling the teacher she's expecting a tiny plastic son in the spring. 38. A mom, proud of her son's artistic talent, frames his latest drawing and hangs it in the living room. It's a colorful, abstract masterpiece. She tells everyone it's a beautiful sunset over a field of flowers. Her son later informs her guests with brutal honesty that the drawing is actually titled, "A Very Angry Worm Having a Bad Day." 39. To get his kids to clean their rooms, a dad invents the cleanup monster, a creature that supposedly eats toys left on the floor. This backfires when his terrified 4-year-old starts leaving sacrificial offerings of his older brother's favorite toys outside his door to appease the beast. 40. A mom from Oregon is horrified when her daughter's teacher calls to say the child has been trying to pay for her school lunch with Monopoly money. The daughter tearfully explains that her dad won it all in a very serious real estate deal last night and promised her it was good for a grilled cheese. 41. A dad, trying to get his daughter to help with yard work, promises her she can be in charge of the leaf blower. He imagines her gently clearing the patio. Instead, she discovers the reverse function. For the next 10 minutes, she joyfully operates a high-powered leaf cannon, undoing an hour of his work by blasting the entire pile of leaves back across the lawn. 42. A father and son are assembling a new bookshelf from IKEA. After an hour of frustration, the dad throws the instructions away, declaring, "We'll figure it out." They do. The final result is a structurally unsound leaning tower of wood that can only safely hold a single, very light paperback. 43. To stop his son from sucking his thumb, A dad tells him a wild story about a boy whose thumb fell off and was carried away by squirrels. That night, he finds his son sleeping with both hands shoved deep inside his pajama pants to hide them from the thumb squirrels. 44. A dad decides to be the cool dad and takes his son's entire class out for ice cream after a field trip. In a moment of pure chaotic energy, he tells the cashier, "Whatever they want, it's on me." He learns a very expensive lesson about the destructive ordering power of 27-year-olds who have just discovered what triple scoop with extra everything means. 45. A family in Texas gets a new puppy. To teach it not to jump on the furniture, the dad decides to lead by example, getting on all fours and pretending to chew a toy on the floor. This is the exact moment his mother-in-law chooses to walk through the front door. 46. A child's science fair project, a classic baking soda volcano, is ready to go. The dad, thinking more is better, triples the amount of baking soda and vinegar. The eruption doesn't just fizz, it launches the entire papier-mâché mountain 3 feet into the air, redecorating the kitchen ceiling with a fine, pasty splatter. 47. A mom is trying to work from home. To keep her son busy, she gives him a bowl of dry pasta and some glue to make art. The silence is wonderful until she gets up for a coffee. He didn't make a picture. He meticulously, methodically glued every single piece of pasta to the long, fluffy fur of their sleeping golden retriever. 48. In an attempt to explain where meat comes from, a dad tells his sensitive 6-year-old a softened version. The animals have a nice long life on a farm, and then they have a very long, deep sleep. The kid seems to understand. The next day, the dad finds his son whispering to the family's cat, "It's okay, you can take a long, deep sleep now. We need more ham." 49. A parent, trying to teach their child about money, helps them set up a lemonade stand. To attract customers, the dad adds a sign that says, "Our lemonade is better than Kevin's down the street." This immediately starts a passive-aggressive neighborhood lemonade war that escalates all weekend, culminating in Kevin's dad offering free cookies. 50. A father, wanting to get his son excited about chores, rebrands cleaning the bathroom as being the captain of the SS toilet. He even gives him a little sailor hat. The boy takes his captaincy so seriously that he refuses to let anyone else use the bathroom because they are not authorized crew members on his vessel. 51. Picture this: Halloween night in Vermont. A dad spends an entire Saturday crafting a masterpiece robot costume from cardboard and enough aluminum foil to contact another galaxy. The visual is a 10 out of 10. The engineering? A solid 0. He forgot to build in knee joints, forcing the kid to be carried from door to door like a disgruntled, shiny refrigerator. 52. Trying to be helpful, a dad decides to wash his daughter's favorite stuffed animal, a very fluffy sheep named Barnaby. He puts it in the washing machine on the heavy-duty cycle. Barnaby did not come out clean. He came out as a single, terrifying matted ball of felt with 2 terrified eyes peeking out. The daughter was not amused. 53. A dad is put in charge of the bedtime routine. He reads a story, tucks his son in, and turns on the gentle ocean sounds machine. He accidentally grabs the wrong sound card. He walks out of the room as his son is trying to fall asleep to the soothing, gentle sounds of a 6-lane highway traffic jam. 54. A mother in Oregon delivers a beautiful speech about empathy, telling her son that all creatures deserve kindness. He takes this lesson profoundly to heart. An hour later, she finds him rescuing spiders from their webs in the garden and releasing them inside the house to keep them warm and safe from predators. 55. During a tense board game of Guess Who, a mom is getting frustrated with her son's questions. The son asks, "Does your person have a mustache?" The mom, looking at her card of a woman with a very faint shadow on her upper lip, hesitates and then says, sort of?" This single answer derailed the game and started a 20-minute debate about female facial hair. 56. Ever tried using your kid's slang and failed miserably? A dad in Virginia, wanting to be cool, hears his son describe something as fire. At the next parent-teacher conference, after reviewing his daughter's perfect grades, he looks the teacher in the eye and declares, "This report card is absolutely fire, fam." A moment of pure, cringeworthy silence followed. 57. During a fancy family dinner, a mom gives her 5-year-old her phone to keep him occupied. A terrible mistake. He immediately finds the worst possible photo of his sleeping dad, mouth agape, drool glistening, and begins a grand tour, presenting it to every diner at the surrounding tables like a proud art curator. 58. Laundry day in Minnesota. A dad trying to be helpful throws in a load of whites. He fails to spot the single, brand-new red sock hiding within. The family doesn't get clean clothes. They get a whole new wardrobe in 50 shades of sad, washed-out pink. He now calls it his signature collection. 59. The school's lost and found is overflowing. An email goes out to all parents. Please label your children's belongings. One dad, taking the instruction very, very literally, sends his son to school the next day with a small piece of masking tape on his forehead that just says, Tim. Beach day. Dad grabs the sunscreen from the diaper bag and slathers it generously. It isn't sunscreen, it's zinc diaper paste. The kid turns photo white, sand sticks like powdered sugar, and seagulls file a snack report. 0 sunburn, maximum shine, and a family album highlight forever. 61. To combat shoe clutter, a Colorado father creates shoe jail, a cardboard box for any footwear left in the living room. The rule is an immediate success, dramatically reducing clutter. The system's only flaw is revealed when he has to bail out his own slippers at 3 a.m. to get a glass of water. 62. A mother, wanting to teach her son about caring for living things, tells him, all our plants need is a little drink of water when they look thirsty. She comes home to find he has taken her words to heart. He had watered her new laptop, the TV remote, and a very expensive leather handbag because they all looked a little dry. 63. On the family's first camping trip, the dad, an eternal optimist, scoffs at weather forecasts. They pitch their tent under a beautiful starry sky. They awaken at 3 a.m. in a shallow, frigid lake, their sleeping bags serving as ineffective, lumpy rafts. The kids somehow think this is the best part of the trip. 64. A mom is teaching her daughter to bake. The recipe says to beat 2 eggs separately. The mom turns around to find her daughter has taken 2 eggs into separate corners of the kitchen and is yelling at them. When asked what she's doing, the daughter explains she was beating them with her words, just like her mom said. 65. A family in Georgia decides to build a tree house. They spend an entire weekend on it. It's a masterpiece of amateur carpentry. The only problem? They built it in the one tree in their yard that the neighborhood squirrels have claimed as their sacred ancestral homeland. The family is now at war with a small army of angry, nut-throwing rodents. 66. A father, trying to teach his daughter how to cook, gets distracted by the TV. The recipe calls for 1 clove of garlic. His daughter, having never seen one before, logically assumes this means the entire bulb. The resulting spaghetti sauce is so powerfully garlicky, the entire family smells like they've been warding off vampires for a week. 67. To encourage reading, a dad builds a cozy reading nook for his daughter. She is overjoyed. She thanks him profusely. Then she immediately gathers all her stuffed animals, places them in the nook, and announces that it is now a maximum security prison for naughty bears. 68. When asked why the sky is blue, a dad panics and invents a fact on the spot. The ocean reflects onto it, like a giant mirror. The next day, the kid confidently tells his science class that cloudy days only happen when the ocean is feeling shy and needs some privacy. 69. A mom, trying to be healthy, makes homemade Play-Doh for her kids. She messes up the flour-to-salt ratio. Instead of a soft, pliable dough, she creates a single, rock-hard, multicolored brick. The kids can't play with it, but they discover it makes an excellent and very loud doorstop. 70. A father, trying to be a good role model, tells his son, "It's important to finish what you start." He immediately regrets this when, later that day, his son refuses to get out of the bathtub until he has finished drinking all the bathwater. The dad had to patiently explain that some rules have exceptions. 71. At the zoo, a dad lifts his daughter to see the monkeys, whispering, See that one? He looks a bit like your Uncle Dave. For the rest of the day, the child becomes a public menace, loudly pointing at any man with a beard and joyfully screaming, "Look everyone! It's Uncle Dave from the monkey house." 72. A dad decides to make the ultimate bubble bath for his kids. He reasons that if a little bit of bubble bath liquid is good, a lot must be amazing. He proceeds to empty half the bottle into the tub. This doesn't just create bubbles, it creates a structurally sound, ever-expanding foam monster that escapes the bathroom and begins a slow, sudsy invasion of the hallway. 73. A family is trying to take a nice photo at the Grand Canyon. The dad sets the timer on his camera and runs back to the group. Just as the camera flashes, a bird swoops down and steals the sandwich right out of his son's hand. The final photo is a perfect tableau of shock, parental failure, and avian triumph. 74. A father, wanting to bond with his son over Minecraft, decides to help him build a house. He applies real-world logic, spending an hour crafting a beautiful structure with large windows and an open-concept floor plan. His son later explains that his dad's architectural masterpiece is a completely useless death trap for monsters to walk right into. 75. A mother is on a very important Zoom call. Her 6-year-old, who was supposed to be quiet, suddenly appears in the background, dressed in a full scuba diving outfit, including flippers and a snorkel, and begins silently watering the houseplants. Her boss just paused and asked if she was expecting a flood. 76. Picture this. A hot summer day in Arizona. A dad decides to cool everyone down by filling up a huge inflatable pool. He misjudges the size, and the only flat surface available is the living room floor. An hour later, the family is floating on pool noodles, watching TV in their own private and very destructive indoor water park. 77. A mom in New Jersey, tired of repeating herself, buys a small bell-to-ring for dinner. This works for exactly one day. By day 2, her son has stolen the bell and is now using it to summon her from anywhere in the house for critical emergencies, like needing a juice box or reporting that the cat is looking at him weirdly. 78. To make grocery shopping more bearable, a dad turns it into a secret agent mission for his kids. Their task? Retrieve these secret documents, the shopping list. This backfires spectacularly when his 7-year-old son starts army crawling through the produce aisle to avoid laser beams, knocking over a pyramid of avocados in the process. 79. A mom, wanting to encourage creativity, buys a huge tub of multicolored clay for her kids. She tells them, "You can make anything you can imagine." She imagines they'll make little animals or pots. They imagine it would be a great idea to carefully, painstakingly regrout the entire bathroom floor with bright pink and blue clay. 80. A mom writes a note to her son's teacher to explain his absence, trying to be funny. She writes, "Please excuse Michael's absence. He was suffering from couchitis, and we were advised to treat it with cartoons." The teacher, lacking a sense of humor, scheduled a serious meeting to discuss his chronic medical condition. 81. A dad in California decides to save money by grooming the family's very fluffy poodle himself. He watches one video and thinks, how hard can it be? The result is not a haircut. It's a series of random patchy bald spots. The dog looks less like a poodle and more like a sad, lumpy cloud that lost a fight with a lawnmower. 82. During a family road trip, a dad decides to introduce his kids to the magic of walkie-talkies. He gives one to the kids in the back seat and keeps one up front. 10 minutes later, his wife has to confiscate them because the kids are broadcasting a non-stop play-by-play commentary of his terrible singing. 83. A parent, trying to get their kid to try new foods, creates a dinner safari where each food is an exotic animal. The mashed potatoes are a white mountain, the peas are green boulders, and the meatloaf is a savory volcano. The kid is so captivated by the story that he refuses to eat anything, because you're not supposed to eat the scenery. 84. A family in Georgia spends the weekend building a gorgeous treehouse. It's perfect, except they install the trapdoor on the side that opens directly into the trunk. The only way in is to crawl through the window like a raccoon. 85. A father, trying to explain the concept of hibernation, tells his daughter that bears take a very, very long nap all winter. The next morning, he finds his daughter has packed all her teddy bears into a drawer with a tiny hand-drawn "Do Not Disturb Until Spring" sign taped to it. 86. A mom buys a new, fancy, voice-activated trash can. She demonstrates how it works to her kids. This is a mistake. For the rest of the day, the kids don't use it for trash. Instead, they form a choir and spend hours trying to get it to open by singing to it in different musical genres. 87. A dad is teaching his daughter how to cook. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. She reads it as 1 tablespoon. The applesauce turns into cinnamon cement. Everyone politely calls it festive while chugging water. 88. School picture day. A mom mixes a few glow drops into her son's moisturizer for a healthy look. She misreads the ratio and turns the cream into pure self-tanner. By homeroom, he's a cheerful orange beacon. The photographer quietly fixes it by changing the white balance for the entire class. 89. A mom, trying to teach her son to tie his shoes, uses the classic bunny ears method. The son gets confused and frustrated. He disappears into his room and emerges an hour later, having solved the problem by using an entire roll of duct tape to permanently secure his shoes to his feet. 90. A mom, rushing to pack for a family vacation, tasks her 10-year-old with packing his own suitcase. He confirms that he packed everything he needs for the beach. When they arrive, she discovers his suitcase contains 3 video game controllers, a bag of chips, and a single solitary sock. 91. A mom, trying to teach her kids about physics, demonstrates gravity by dropping an apple. To explain air resistance, she then drops a feather. The kids are not impressed. Later, her son decides to test gravity with something more exciting: his dad's car keys, dropped directly into a storm drain. 92. A dad is trying to fix a leaky faucet under the sink. He asks his 5-year-old daughter to pass him the wrench. She returns a moment later and, with immense pride, hands him a banana. When he looks at her confused, she explains, "It's yellow, just like your favorite wrench, Daddy." 93. A mother, trying to explain how computers work, uses a very simplified analogy. It's like a little brain that remembers things. That night, her daughter is having trouble sleeping. When asked why, she says she's worried that the family's iPad is having a nightmare about all the bad guys from her video games. 94. A father, trying to get his kids excited about a family hike, tells them they're going on a secret mission to find the treasure of the forest. The kids are thrilled. The treasure he planned was a granola bar. The treasure they found, however, was a very large, very angry badger who was not interested in being part of their mission. 95. A dad, trying to get his kids to go to bed, warns them that if they don't sleep, the sleep monster won't bring them any good dreams. This backfires when his daughter starts leaving a nightly snack offering of cookies and milk by her bed to try and bribe the monster for extra cool dreams about flying puppies. 96. A mom tells her son that if he swallows a watermelon seed, a watermelon will grow in his stomach. She meant it as a joke. He took it as a threat. For the next month, he meticulously inspects every piece of fruit for seeds, treating each one like a tiny green bomb. 97. A parent tries to cool a giant pot of spaghetti faster by pointing a box fan at it. The noodles take flight. 10 seconds later, the kitchen looks like a pasta-based Jackson Pollock, and dinner is served off the walls. 98. A dad, wanting to get his son excited about chores, rebrands cleaning the bathroom as being the captain of the SS toilet. He even gives him a little sailor hat. The boy takes his captaincy so seriously that he refuses to let anyone else use the bathroom because they are not authorized crew members on his vessel. 99. A father lets his daughter do his hair. He expects a few silly clips. He gets his remaining hair tied into a dozen tiny pigtails, each one secured with a different neon-colored elastic band. He forgets to take them out before running to the hardware store, much to the delight of the other customers. 100. A mom, trying to be relatable, asks her teenage son what his squad is up to. He stares at her with a blank expression for a full 10 seconds before replying with deep sincerity, "Mom, please don't ever say that word again." For my sake and for yours. 101. A mom trying to explain how a record player works tells her daughter, a tiny needle reads the bumps in the record to make music. The daughter is horrified. She spends the rest of the day trying to comfort the family's record collection, telling them, "Don't worry, I won't let the mean needle poke you anymore." We didn't roast parents. We saluted courage under snack fire. Big love plus bold guesses equals legendary, harmless disaster. Your turn. Start your comment with confession and drop your funniest not dangerous fail. Bonus vote. Rave pink, bath kraken, or pants optional Tuesday. If you laughed, like, subscribe, and share with the bravest parent you know. New chaos, same heart, every week.